Well, hey there, YouTube. It's Petey. And yesterday, my wife and I took this micro rig out. I had replaced the amplifier board in this amp here. This is a bass amp. It's an old Altec Lansing computer subwoofer for a 2.1 PC speaker system that I cut the legs off of it and installed a preamp section, which is a 3-band EQ, and a battery pack that sits on the back. So for the bass, there's this additional speaker bar that has some pretty good woofers in it. I was really impressed with these woofers. I got this speaker for cheap and installed an amp and a battery pack on the back of it. This is a 50 by 2 amp powering this Radio Shack driver and then this Infinity driver here, and that's my guitar is going up to this and then out to these two speakers here. The mains, this is a subwoofer type, like 6.5-inch sub. It does have a tweeter on it, and then this is a 8-inch PA speaker, Rockville. So that's this stereo 50 by 2 amp powering those two, and then this has a built-in amp that's probably more like 15 by 2, and it powers itself. And then this is a bullet tweeter. So there's two lines that come out of this box. There's two audio lines. The red one goes up to here. The black one goes up to here. And this internal amp then breaks out to power its mate, which is a bullet tweeter. So these two are for the high end of the air. They provide a real lot more treble for the backing track. And then these are the other pair that mate with it that provide the lower frequencies. So on top of this bass amp, there's a little Korg processor, which I was changing patches with it yesterday, and boy, I found some patches that really worked well for certain songs. So I might have to up the ante on that. But when we basically, my wife needed to get some rest, so I didn't bother her. I let her sleep in till noon, and I worked on installing a new battery pack. This had 4 batteries, and now it has 6. So I removed the single. It was a 3-in-1. I removed the single and put 2 3-packs on the back, wired that all up, and that took me a while, you know. I ended up removing, there's a mute switch, I removed that. I rewired the volume potentiometer because there is a board mounted thumb pot or trimmer pot on the 100 watt amp board that you can remove that and just cut in your own like 10K B pot, and that will serve as a master volume. So I ended up getting a call from a friend, and I was unable to get off the phone, so that ate into at least another hour. And then we finally packed up and left, and when we got there, I realized that this amp was not there. So I ended up going home and coming back and setting this amp up, and I went to tune my guitar. I had everything on, this was playing. I went to tune my guitar, and then we lost signal on this amp. And it looks like this amp board is bad. Now, we had another amp board die. There was 2 amp boards that just inexplicably died on this project. I don't know if it's user error. I would almost be prone to say that this is just what you get when you buy this stuff from China. And I used to say, well, we had one amp failure in like 10, 12 years, and then all of a sudden 2 more die right away, you know? So it is what it is. I went home and got a 15 by 2, this mini amp head that I had built years ago, and we subbed that in place of this. I had to get a deep cell battery, a sealed lead acid battery to power that, and some cabling and some stuff like that. So, all in all, well, at one point when I returned home, my daughter was on the phone. She had called because she had been second row at the Roger Waters concert and wanted to check in with me and tell me about that experience. So I did pick up the phone, and I was here for like 40 minutes talking to her on the phone while Gomti is waiting for me at the remote with all this gear by herself, with nothing more than a phone to call 911 in case someone comes up and hassles her. So it was a total of 4 times that one of us had to return home. The batteries died in the Pandora, and we had neglected to bring backups because of the first phone call where I was on the phone with my buddy. I didn't go through my normal procedure of mentally checking everything off that I need to check off in my head. This is how I managed to not forget anything typically. Well, we did. This was the worst remote as far as, I mean, I've done this for a while, and we've had stuff fail. We've had stuff with the wiring. We've had wires break off, just stupid stuff from me getting ahead of myself, working too quickly, you know. So that's the point, is when I'm working, you want to make sure that if it's for a remote, you know, you're not using it at home. It's not like if it fails, you can just turn an iron on and 5 minutes later be back to it. It's going to be a little bit more involved. So you want to make sure that every solder joint is perfect, you know, is really done well. So that's the lesson for me. The rest of the remote was excellent. I gotta say, even though we didn't have the full setup running, it was a weaker amp for the mains. It still was really good. Like the main issue is the bass, and the bass wasn't that bad. It resonates in this pavilion really well. And the guitar, I could not believe how loud the guitar got. The guitar got really loud. I was able to crank it. And then when you're talking about adding these high frequencies for the extra tweeters and stuff for the mains, it all that stuff helps. You know, it really does help. So I'm thrilled about this setup. I've actually got a 50x2, an extra. That was installed. It's a previous install, so I'm going to have to spend a few hours removing this board, see if I can figure out, you know, basically I'll be testing it initially. One of the jacks wasn't holding the speaker cable very well, and I have 1/4-inch outputs, which I really think I want to change those to spring connectors. I really do. I like those better. I don't know. It's a little bit more work, and then, you know, it frees you up from having 1/4-inch cables on everything. So that's something I got to consider. The weather's going to be cool. Rather than do another one of these, I think I want to do a full remote is what I would like to do, is plan on next weekend us going out for real with all the gear. So I have to talk to Gomti about that tonight. But I am interested in trying to take it easy, not working so much, not stressing myself out so much. I've been overdoing it. There's been just too much going on for me for my comfort level, and considering the health stuff that I need to rest up. I need to get my guts healed up, and the numbness in my hand. The more I work, the less that's going to heal. So that's what's going on with me. The remote was really fun. I was dancing around with the guitar a lot more than I normally do. Normally, I'm just sitting or I don't move, and I'm more self-conscious of the camera. But I was really into it, and I had a ball. I had a blast. It was really fun. The weather was nice, you know. It was a little humid, so I did break a sweat a bit. You know, I had to have a headband and all that, but it was in the mid 70s, so it was actually it got a little bit chilly at the end of the night. So I like this idea of having not so much stuff to carry over. We've got these large bags. I don't know if you can see those stripes back there. It's two camcorder bags that are pretty big. So a lot of that stuff fits in there, and you can just put the strap over your neck and drag it over that way. And hopefully we can continue to play at this place unmolested. Or I'm just worried about somebody calling the cops on us. So that's the micro rig report. I'm sorry, we are not going to be doing video at the micros simply because the sound isn't as good. I have no way to get a board mix because there is no board, and